My God, he stabbed her! Not her! My pronouns are they, them. He stabbed them!
We back!
Scary movie. Sure we all know that scary movie is one of the most well-known and popular parody movie franchises. So unsurprisingly, after 13 years since the fifth film, Paramount would finally make another scary movie that features but this time I like the third, fourth and fifth film. It actually features the vacant brothers who worked on the first movies. So now when it comes to my opinions on the scary movies, now I want to say that I don't remember a whole lot about them. But however I did rewatch the first two for this review since I did have the time to watch the third, fourth or fifth film. However, I say that the first film while made is still quite entertaining, and I say that the second movie is even worse to the point of being awful, but I say Marvin is so bad is somewhat entertaining sort of vibe. But however, when it comes to my opinion, when it comes to my expectations for this movie, now I really see that my expectations are quite mixed. So while I am not expecting it to be a straight up great at all, since the first two are not meant to be like some masterpieces. But however, I do at least hope that this movie won't. But however, I do hope that this movie could still have some of the entertaining stuff. Hope that this movie could have some of the entertaining stuff to keep it away from being unwatched. However, I do at least hope that maybe there's a chance that this movie could at least be enjoyable. So now that Ghostface and Wayans brothers are back in the scary movie, will this be my favorite scary movie? Or will my recommendation for this movie be one, bitch, one? Well, let's find out. And also spoilers for anyone who is in this movie. So now let's talk about the story. And when it comes to the story itself, it is exactly what you expect from a sixth scary movie made in 2026. Well, it is exactly what you expect out of a sixth scary movie made in 2026. Where it's about Ghostface being back and still killing people while the scary movie kids need to find out if who is like the villain, who is like this like Ghostface, while a bunch of Joseph Fielding horror movies I've seen on screen. Now I want to say that the biggest problem with the story is that as a story itself, this is just awful. Well, the plot feels secondary compared the plot feels extremely sick. Just saying that the plot feels extremely secondary compared to the jokes, the pacing is quite slow, any message is any possible message is non-existent, and not to mention that the plot feels way too, and not to mention that the plot feels like a rehash of the full, and not to mention that the plot kind of feels way too similar to the first movie. And also the ending is also quite vast. Now spoiler alert, because the movie literally ends with who's revealed to be like the mask killer and who are revealed to be like the ghost faces, and they actually like Snowty and the other character and the other black characters where they born like this, like ghouls because they appeared in scary movie for a while they didn't, and their voices are seen on screen, and that's literally the ending of the movie. But however, there is also, when it comes, there is also the comedy, which I will say is actually the reason why this movie isn't an absolute snooze fest or something. Since there were jokes there, that did catch me off guard. Where they are mostly parodies of horror movies and narrate and like a bunch of raunchy humor. And have able to appeal to the new generation. Spoiler alert, they also have jokes such as the Epstein files being seen, and the end in a parody of Hinux. A kid literally says, and I am being damn serious. 6, 7 at once but twice, and she deserved, and she gets hit by a cow. Which is why, in my opinion, the humor is an absolute acquired taste. Which is why the humor is seriously an acquired taste.
Hey there, we heard tell of a Halloween party. We're here to drink, play bad music, do some half-gay shit.
Why just half gay?
Sure, when it comes to the entire story, the entirety of the story, because it reaches plot way more secondary compared to its jokes, it makes the story feel like a bigger joke than a comedy. So now let's talk about the visuals. And when it comes to the visuals, now even though the writing may not be like good at all, and the writing may be horrible, do I say that the visuals in this movie are not as bad as the writing. In fact, I say that the visuals in this movie are actually quite decent touches. The color palette in this movie at least does look nice. At least does look good. At least does look nice. And all does look nice. And also by they were also the costumes that while this may come off as an insult, they look like they straight out of a B movie that while this that I say isn't meant to slander costumes, since it is charming, every does look good, every does look appropriate for a parody of a movie like this, very doesn't take seriously in the slightest, and it also does, and they don't look too bad to the point where they just look unacceptable. And also, spoiler alert, there was a scene in the movie where the ghost facing shot into the chair and he goes for like this like ape of demon hunters like some sort of like sweep or something and it's animated in the same style as Escape of Demon Hunters and it actually does look quite good even if it's meant to be like a little joke. And also I have also like the killing scenes with Ghostly where they actually could look quite good even if they are meant to be more funny than scary. And however, if there's something that I have a problem about the visuals, is that the backgrounds haven't that impressive. Very small, very mostly just like just a house. Very mostly just a house. Some houses, and maybe like a party and a bus and something like that. So, while I didn't expect it's scary movie to go on multiple places, it is kind of disappointing. The fact that it's barely, that the places are mostly just wealthy like places is kind of generic. But however, when it comes to the visuals themselves, they are actually quite decent. They're actually while I wouldn't say that they are straight up amazing or groundbreaking, they are still quite decent and feels appropriate for a parody of horror movies like this. So now let's talk about the characters. And when it comes to the characters, now as characters and as their own, I say that they are not that good. I say that they quite shock with I say that the characters on their own, they are not good at all. Or they are not good at all if you don't turn your brain off. So now let's start with the main character of the movie, which is like the daughter of Cindy, whom says that his mother, who's the daughter of Cindy. So now let's start with the main character, whom I think is like the daughter of Cindy, whom I say that he like does something or something.
You look like shit.
And there is also like the love interest and there is also the love interest whom Dorothy believes that he is the best killer since because he's a love interest in a horror movie, and there is also the mother of the two main character, and there is also Shinny, who's the mother of the main character in this movie, and she's now she's now older.
Stop smiling!
And there is also the black woman whom she hugged Cindy, and there is also my favorite character in the scary movie cinematic universe, Shorty, whom he's obsessed with, and he can have some funny moments. And as for the other characters, there is this for the other characters, and this for the other characters. There is like this for the other characters. There is like this guy whom he says is no longer gay, even if he says in a scene by yourself gay, and also, and there is also, and there are also, and there is also guys in it who literally gets whom he gets decapitated by Ghostface, and there is also this, and there is also this like Spanish man, there is Terrifier who appears, there is Terrifier who appears in like a flashback that's meant to be like a reference to Terrifier 3. They will also these like gay people who play music that are a reference. Do that are definitely a reference to Shinus. And how the hell could I forget about Doofy? Whom in the first film he was like the twist villain, but however in this one he's not, which makes the continuity, which is not meant to be like shocking. There is also this like mother whom she always says, and there is also this like black woman whom he like says cuckoo or something, and there is also this like black woman whose pronouns is they them, and finally there is the villain of the movie Ghostface, whom he was in the first movie. But this time the twist being the fact that the fact that Doobie was the Ghostface instead is like for more people. Shake a shorty, the guy who says like a chef guy, and then the other like characters whom I forgot their names anyway.
Hello, Tuesday.
And also I like to say that the voice acting in this movie is actually quite good and can be quite, and also I like to say that the voice acting in this movie is actually quite good and can be quite enjoyable at times. But however, when it comes to the characters, sure, while some of them may be enjoyable, the rest are mostly just not that good and very dumb. So as I said before in this review, while I didn't have extremely high expectations for this movie as a movie, since the first four scary movies sounded great as movies, however I still did hope that this movie could at least be entertaining, and maybe I did at least hope that this movie could maybe be at least somewhat entertaining. But however, after watching this movie, while it may have some entertaining parts, it is still bad. Scary movies are bad installment that while may have some things to keep it away from being horrendous. Like the decent visuals, good voice acting, and some funny moments. It also has a bunch of things that keep it away from being, and it also has a bunch of violence that keep it away from being, from unapparently being a good movie at all, such She searches the horrible writing that knew the story. She story that she was Jericho just a week from the first film. Characters that are dumb characters, outstanding, and even the comedy was way too hard. And even some of the comedy was way too hard. Now as for my recommendation for this movie, I will say that people who I recommend this to the most are straight up like fans of the scary movie films. They are most likely gonna enjoy this movie debatably more than I did. But however, I say that I highly recommend to turn off your brain while watching it. Because the less you turn off your brain, the less likely you're gonna enjoy it. And that's why I'm saying that this movie was better than 4 out of 10. Sure, as I said before, while I wouldn't go as far and say that it's the worst film in the scary movie film series, let alone the worst film in the parody genre, it is still a bad horror parody installment from Paramount.